Hello, 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 world. Hey, Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, a.k.a. man of the people, because I enjoy working for the fans of the Carolina Panthers. So anytime you got a question for a player or coach, myself and my co-host Andre Casseday is the person and people to help you out. So as you see behind me, I am live in New Orleans at the Caesars Superdome without my co-host, but I'm going to bring him in here in a second. And let me just go ahead and bring him in. He's my guy. Hadn't seen him in a couple of days flying out here. Mr. Casseday.
What's going on, everybody? Hope all of you are doing well. It is quite rainy and dreary here in Charlotte right now. I don't know what it's like over there down in New Orleans, Chris, but over here in Charlotte, I think it's a good day to be inside and watching some Panthers football.
Hey, let me go ahead and that's a good segue to a miscellaneous thing I want to share. By the way, Andre, you're responsible today for all the promo talk. So tell them I got this one, but subscribe to the channel. Please hit that like button. It costs you nothing. It does a lot for us. Helps us continue to grow and cover this Carolina Panthers team and do stuff like be here live, pregame. Our photographer, Patrick, is probably literally coming in the building right now, so he's going to have you guys covered on the photographs for today's game. But speaking of weather, so yesterday I felt like everybody knew I was from out of town. I had on a hoodie and sweatshirt. It was a little humid. It wasn't too hot, but it was a little, let's say, slightly warm and humid. And I used to live in the South. I haven't let many people know, not for any particular reason, but I forgot about just how close to the God you are with the storms down here. Because I was in the hotel
that's one
room.
way to put it right there.
Man, it's like I was in the room last night sleeping, and I woke up hearing all this noise, and I'm like, who the heck is in the hallway? Like, what are they doing? What are they moving? Because I felt like I could feel the building moving a little bit that I was in the hotel. And then I heard some more noise, and I look out the window, and the wind's just blowing, the lightning's just flashing. And I'm like, oh yeah, like a true down south southern thunderstorm is a little strong. And I said, man, if I had to live down here when Katrina took place, I would be traumatized, and I would have moved out. Because I'm right by a canal or whatever. There's canals all over the place, pretty flat city. Nevertheless, weather this morning, a little cool, partly cloudy, but we're in the Superdome right now with ideal temperatures in a very, very loud place.
Indeed, yes, and I can already hear the noise behind you as everybody out there is getting ready for pregame festivities, if you will, on the field. And, Chris, we just got a super chat.
We did,
If you want to pop that up on the screen from our good friend,
Super chat.
Mark Burks. Now, let me just go ahead and get that segue out of the way as well. If you are willing and able, Chris and I, hey, we're members of the media, independently, of course, and we're always supported by all of you out there. So any opportunity that you guys have to chip in to everything here at the Charlotte Vibe, feel free to do so like our main man Mark Burks did there. We appreciate you tuning in here today. Appreciate y'all. Hope everyone has a great game day. Right back at you, Mark, and we appreciate you for doing that here today.
I stepped to the side to give you a view of the field. Of course, nobody was walking by as we did so. We're going to go ahead and get into this. Part of being independent media is a lot of trials and tribulations. So I literally just got online moments before the broadcast. I haven't had a chance to go over anything with my co-host. So we're going to go through it. We are well knowledge. So just if you notice a little bit of jumpiness, it's because I didn't have a chance to get my notes completely together. I keep looking around because there's so much going on, but you would like it down here in the sense that there's actually a roped off area for us, Andre, and all the other places, you're on the sidelines, and when they let the fans in for the field access, you might be elbow to elbow. But here there's actually, I wish I could, probably could show you a little bit. See this little rope right here? So there's a walkway between us and the fans that may have a chance to come on the field. So other than the noise, I'm going to be pretty safe today. So I do appreciate that.
And hey, it may limit any risk of a potential Alvin Kamara run-in with you at some point today. So that will definitely help out with that cause.
Oh, no, I want that. I want that smoke. I'm ready. Come on, Alvin. Run over here. I don't want it.
Put some respect on Chris Jenkins' name, right?
Hey, I went to the gym last night in the hotel, man, so I'm feeling ready for anything.
All right. Okay. as you can see, he's prepared and ready to go. You hear it out there, Charlotte Vibe fam. He's ready for all that smoke. He is ready today. You know it. He's got that look in his eye and everything, too. He is locked in and ready to go in that regard.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this show for today as the Carolina Panthers prepare to take on the New Orleans Saints. It's going to be a good game. New Orleans Saints are coming off, I don't know, I think it's a 3-game losing streak. I know they've been losing some games down here, and the fans are anxious for them to get a victory. They're also still playing for playoff hopes as they have a very legitimate shot in this NFC South that is not performing too well. Carolina Panthers are still trying to get just their second win of the season as we enter Week 14. So, two teams that won it for very different reasons. Saints do, in my opinion, have the home field advantage. I was talking about with Andre, it's very, very loud here. The game hasn't even started. Fans haven't started coming in yet. They just got music, but you guys will probably hear that it's going to get pretty loud here at the New Orleans Superdome. Caesars Superdome, I'm sorry. So let's go with a few miscellaneous things before we get up to date with going over today. Last week in Tampa Bay, Brian Burns was ejected from the game for punching a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. He said that things have been brewing, couldn't hold it no more, and things spilled over. So he was fined for that. The amount of that fine was $11,473. Yes, there is some math and technique behind that. It's not like a $12,000. It is $11,473 that Brian Burns had to pay for that punch last week.
Now, a question for you, Chris. This is a quick question. Where does all that money go?
I think it goes to the Players Association. It does go to some fund for something of a good. I don't know if it completely goes to a charity or not, but it either goes to like the Players Association of something. I don't know exactly. But it doesn't just go right into the owner's pocket. I do know that.
Okay. And hey, we could use that money over here too. That $11,000 is chump change for these folks, but over here on our side of the woods, right? Hey, we would greatly appreciate it, you know? That's for sure.
I would not mind that at all. So, hey, you know what? We always start with a little look back at the week. So we're going to go ahead and get some videos up for you guys. Continue to hit the like button. Did we get another super chat? We did get another super chat.
We sure did.
I'm going to come back to that in a second. We certainly need it. And if you see anything interesting behind me, let me know, and I'll be sure to step to the side and bring it in full screen. But I can tell you that so far out on the field, you got Chuba Hubbard warming up. He's been out here for probably 20 minutes, and his hands are much improved this season. And you know that he was doing the jugs machines that he has out here right now. And then there's just a handful of other players that are out warming up right now. I think the Saints are going to be honoring some of their players today, maybe like a Hall of Fame thing or something that I saw they're practicing. So just keep an eye out, and I'll make sure I tune in and let you guys see that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. And, a lot of activities going on back there right now.
But I'm safe. I got the rope. So a look back at the week. Lots of news coming out of Carolina this week. Lots of news coming out of Carolina, but we're going to start with a good story of my man Bradley Bozeman. He just seems like one of the nicest guys in the world. He recently got the nomination for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and that's an award that the players really love because it's something that's awarded to a guy that has on-field excellence as well as a big focus on their off-the-field and community involvement. And since Bradley Bozeman and his wife, I believe her name is Nikki, have been here, they've been extremely involved in the community. So I'm going to go ahead and play a clip with Bradley Bozeman talking about his Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination.
It really speaks more volumes to the people around me. My wife, number one, she's the heart and soul of this. Without her, it wouldn't be, maybe not even be a quarter of what it is. She does such an amazing job and always makes sure that day to day it's running right. Always lining up events and things like that. And I get in where I can fit in. So I just continue to just try to help. And he says, just the biggest honor, just all the love and support around us, the community, all my teammates, this organization, Mr. and Miss Tepper, Jersey Mike, Second Harvest, all the people that really dive into our works. It just speaks volumes about them and how much kind of impact you can have just by stepping in and helping. It would be, honestly, it's the greatest honor in football. It's maybe the greatest honor in all. So it's just, it would be I said, it speaks volumes to the people around me, and just, it takes a village. So it would just be such a great testament to those people for all their help, all their works, especially my wife. So it would be really amazing.
So there you have it. Bradley Bozeman talking about his Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination, what it means to him and the work that him and his wife put into it. Do you know who the last Carolina Panther and only Carolina Panther to win that Walter Payton Man of the Year award is?
I think it was Thomas Davis.
Linebacker Thomas Davis, I believe in 2016 is when he won that award. So congrats to Thomas, congrats to Bozeman on his nomination. So lots of news, again, coming out of Carolina this week. It was I think it was Tuesday. It was a really busy day. It might have been Wednesday,
yep.
But it was a Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, it was Tuesday. I remember that day vividly because the very second that I opened up Twitter, when I was on my break at work, I was like, "Geez, almighty, here we go. We just cannot seem to get out of the noisiness of the NFL news cycle." And they had to combat it with some piece of their own news as well, which we'll talk about here in a second. But
you go ahead and touch on the first part, the article from Joe Person on The Athletic, if you could sum that one up for us.
Yeah, so our colleague Joe Person of The Athletic wrote a pretty spicy article, if you will. Now, I have not read the article. I've only heard snippets and pieces of it, so just keep that with a grain of salt with how I describe it. But pretty much to summarize it up, he kind of talks about the Hunger Game mentality that coaches have within the room, right? And some inner discussions between, coaches and texting each other about, hey, is Bryce Young, the guy? And then you talk about David Tepper having his involvement with coaches and how things have gone throughout the season and telling certain coaches, hey, we need to work on Bryce's footwork because he attributes that to the reason why the offensive line has had issues this season. Just a little snippets of, the weekly back and forths that the coaching staff has had with management and with ownership about the lack of success that this team has had this season. And it's a pretty messy situation when you take a deep dive into it because a lot of it just comes down to, again, that lack of presence and leadership from the head man at the top, being Frank Reich.
And Frank is no longer at the helm as we have Chris Tabor going for his first win here in New Orleans. So the other news that came out, and to most people in the media, it seemed like it was very timely to shut one story down. You bring out another story.
I know you're happy about this, Chris.
And I am personally extremely happy about this. And we can talk about both sides of it because there's always two sides to something this big, considering that the Carolina Panthers have been in Spartanburg since their inception for training camp. I know our photographer, Patrick, actually has a lot of memories from being down there and it's hot and humid. This year, I was down there every single day. I did not miss a practice in Spartanburg, and it's grueling. It's an hour-and-a-half drive about down there. A lot of media. Some media stay. Very select media stay every night. A lot of us still drive back and forth. The Rock Hill situation didn't pan out, but they're bringing the whole operation of training camp back to Charlotte. All the details of that have not been worked out yet, but I think they'll still have the Fan Fest type of event in Spartanburg. Well, actually, they didn't say where in South Carolina. They still will have that Fan Fest type of event. That'll be in South Carolina. Training camp will be moved to Charlotte. They currently have one field and two half fields with that bubble or the dome. That dome's going to go away, and they're going to go back to 3 full-length fields. And one of the things that they hope to do is actually have a field house, which is basically a more permanent structure of an indoor facility for the Carolina Panthers. And with that, they're also going to have to accommodate the fans. That's the biggest thing that they're going to have to do with having training camp in Charlotte if they at that facility is the bleachers, because I got a few ideas. I thought about it a little bit more. So it'd be tight, but if they wanted to, there's actually a hill that the media stands on a lot of times when watching. They could put something along that hill, even though if they do, fans won't have the best vantage point because it's like an end zone perspective. And typically when you have bleachers set up, even if you have a few, you just run them along the sideline. Currently, they don't really have a place for that to be on the sideline. So we will keep you all abreast of news as it comes out about the details, but the big overall picture, No more driving down to Spartanburg if you're from Charlotte. And if you're in South Carolina, you now have to drive up to the city, probably have a lot more expensive of adventure with parking that would be down in the city that you didn't have to do in Spartanburg. But nevertheless, that's some more news from this week.
Yeah, and I remember making a trip out there, just as a fan, right, back in 2021. First of all, that drive, it is no joke, especially when you get up relatively early in the morning to go to a 10, 11 o'clock practice, right? It's no joke. And then the other part of it is the whole fact that you're sitting out in 95-degree heat with humidity on top of that. Even if you're just sitting around doing nothing and taking in practice, it makes you tired. That humidity and that sunlight sucks the energy out of you. And I know Chris is out there doing his thing, walking around, getting some video, getting some content for you guys. So I can only imagine how that feels like when you got all your gear and everything associated with that. But yeah, it's definitely, an adjustment for Carolina as they try to streamline their operations, if you will. But that uniqueness of Spartanburg is definitely going to be lost with that move. And I know people definitely have a special place in their hearts and in their memories as fans traveling down to Spartanburg and seeing their team, especially at that point in the year where that's the first time you see your team actually performing in practice. So that unique factor, if you will, is definitely going to be missed.
Yeah, and two sides to it, right? The people in South Carolina, now what do? Maybe that was their only chance. Well, there's still a lot of people in Charlotte that haven't had a chance to see this Carolina Panthers team because it's expensive to be at one of these games on the Sunday, terribly expensive. And you got a larger population, so I think that's still some pluses to the move, but you're right, Andre, I'm very happy. Now, continuing on with flashing back through the week, our man Chuba Hubbard, which is, I don't know where he's
still out there?
Bryce is walking behind me, so if you see Bryce coming back, here, I'm going to go ahead and go full screen so we can get a little view of Bryce warming up. Let's see. Oh, he stopped to hug somebody that's as tall as he is, so I think that might be a Saints player. All right, so the Bryce Young viewing is going to come here in a second. All right, here he goes. He's at the 2, the 3, the 5. He's coming. I'm going to step to the side. Oh, man, he turned around right at the 12. Okay. All right. How about that? I am standing at about the 18. And I'll try one more time, and then we'll keep rolling through. But I think we got to get to that super chat as well. Yeah, Bryce well, I don't want to say exactly what. I'll tell you later, Andre, off screen. But he's still not making it. He's still not making it to me. Andy Dalton's out here. I'm only going to wait another minute or two. I won't say or two. About another 30 seconds to give this guy a chance to walk by, and then I want to continue with the show. But Dante Jackson walking by. All right, so I'm going to stay solo to widescreen for a second. Andre, you keep an eye out. Let me know if Bryce walks by. But Chuba Hubbard was also somebody that had some news this week. He was the FedEx Ground Player of the Week nominee. He unfortunately did not win that, but Chuba had a really good game last week, getting over 100 yards for the first time this season. In the locker room this week, he talked about he's healthier than he's ever been. He's had some surgeries in the past that maybe a lot of people didn't know about. I think he said something like a groin or hernia, something in that area that he had, and he's been pretty recovered for it. Doing those surgeries that he had, it affected his core a little bit, and he said now he's been able to play where he's not 100%, but he's feeling better than he ever has as an NFL pro. So that's something that I'm glad to hear, and I feel like we should continue to leverage because this offensive line that we have, we're going to get into it in a little bit, but they have had some struggles, and I feel like one of the keys for today to have a chance of victory would be to have a strong running game. But the Saints and the Panthers are playing for the second time this season. They played in week 2 in Carolina where it was a 17-20 loss by the Carolina Panthers, a close game. They lost by 3. So DJ Chark spoke about what it's like to play a team for the second time in a season.
It's the same team, but kind of different, just because you have more film on them, they have more film on us too. with injuries and things like that, you have different players. But a lot of similarities as far as philosophy. So we just got to go in there and be better than we was last time and get the win.
Lots of buttons out here to hit. All right, is there anything going on behind me? Because I think I want to bring Andre back on the screen.
I haven't seen anything yet. Just a lot of people walking behind you right now. A lot of New Orleans native fans, it looks like. But
I got the rope.
that's really all I've seen.
I'll tell you what. I don't want to move the camera because then I have to readjust it, and there's nobody here to help me readjust it back to me. So I'm going to put that handsome guy back on the screen, my co-host Andre Casseday, split screen. Let's go ahead and start to talk about this matchup. I know we got about 8 minutes. Actually, you know what? Let's not do the people a disservice here. We got to go and do something here. We got to put this on the screen right here.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Super chat.
We got a super chat. We need the super chats. We need them. A lot of people keep asking, when is Andre going to travel to a game? What's the next game Andre's traveling to? Let me kind of break it down for you. It costs anywhere from like $800 to $1,000 for each person to travel to a game. And
it ain't cheap.
We need some support from you guys. So that is why we don't have any sponsors to talk about during the show. We don't have presented by Morris Jenkins or some car dealership or anybody like that. We are 100% supported by you guys. And I know a lot of you like us, but it's a chance to be a part of something cool to help us grow and say, hey, you know what? I was supported those guys, and now I see they've grown. You can be a part of that. We do have memberships available as well. But anyway, hopefully Andre will be able to get to a game with your support. But appreciate this super chat from Ali. Welcome back, fellas. I saw some progress made last game, and I believe we will see more. Today will be a good day. I certainly hope for it. Certainly hope for it.
Yeah, indeed. And hey, what a good day to do it today against a divisional opponent. And this could be a winnable game, and we'll talk more about that here in a bit. But if they have the same recipe as they did last week in terms of running the football, that will definitely give them a solid chance here today. Oh, is your voice giving out on you again? We don't want to see that happen.
The voice is great. I don't want to gross people out, but you know that phlegm when you cough? I literally feel like it's just that one piece. Like, some people can spit it out, and I'll make this quick because I may be grossing people out. I don't know how to spit it out. So unless I just cough and it just flies out, it stays there. And I feel like for more than a week now, I've been trying to get it out. So too much information. Let's get back to football.
Everybody's who's listening right now, this is being added to the tell-all. Like chapter 20.
It's annoying. It's annoying. That's why I had to share this annoying. All right, so keys to the game today. We're going to touch on some things, all right? First of all, we're playing the New Orleans Saints, who has a quarterback by the name of Derek Carr. All week it was, will he play, will he not play, will he clear the concussion protocol? This guy's had, I believe, 2 concussions in 3 weeks. Something very close to that. I know he's had 2 pretty much back-to-back. And he cleared concussion protocol Friday night, and then it came out, sources said that he is going to play today. So Derek Carr will be your quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. And in terms of him coming back from that concussion, yes, concerning. You know, on the other end, we have Hayden Hurst for the Carolina Panthers, who had a concussion against the Chicago Bears. And he has yet to see the field, and he's actually suffered some rare symptoms from it, which has some amnesia. But he was able to actually get back on practice field this week. He's out for today. But it just concerns you with Derek Carr. But, you know, his history, Derek Carr's history, he's a very tough guy. He's had short turnarounds from injuries. Nothing like Aaron Rodgers that we're seeing right now with the Jets. But from what I've seen, my little research, it's not too uncommon for Derek to bounce back so quickly like this. But he will be starting for the Saints today.
Yeah, he'll be out there. And another guy who won't be out there, who has been an issue for us in the past, is Taysom Hill. Sources have also indicated that he will not be available for the Saints today, so that will be a plus for Carolina. Because I can tell you, in games past, especially this season in that Monday night game, he was quite a nuisance for that Panthers defense. I mean, they use him all over the field as a tight end, as a secondary running back. I mean, he's just one of those guys who really opens up a playbook for New Orleans and their ability to be creative and imaginative as well. So the fact that he won't be out there today will help out Carolina's defense as they try to stop the New Orleans, vaunted New Orleans Saints offense, if you will.
We got a high school band that's going by. They're going to have a lot of fun here today, so we're going to make sure we end on time. It's not Atlanta in terms of the music scene, but you can tell they like to have some fun down here with the
yeah,
the
they look like
culture.
they're getting ready for a pretty large party down there, and the game hasn't even started yet. So it kind of just shows you the theatrics that they have down there in New Orleans on any given time of day.
Yeah, so some other keys to this game today, they talked about how loud it can be here. And again, it has not gotten anywhere near what it's going to be during the game, but I don't know what makes this place louder than other places. I know we've been in Atlanta, and Atlanta can get loud, but it's maybe just the way that this old building is built that the sound just echoes so much here. But that's something that's going to be a key to the game for Carolina, as in not letting the noise get to them. You know, we all saw that game in Seattle. That's an outdoor stadium where they had a insane amount of offsides due to the noise. I mean, it was just back-to-back times that they were having some offsides. Coach Tabor said they have practiced the silent count. They may have to go to it today. But, you know, this team, it's not a lot of data I have to support this, but this team does not play too well in domes, right? And I feel like a key today is making sure that this New Orleans Saints team doesn't come out and put some points on the board fast. And again, they have some celebrations going on today. I don't know exactly what it is, but they're honoring some of their older players, something like a Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame type of thing that's going on today. So the energy will already be there from them doing that pregame. So then if you let the Saints come out and score early, it's going to be pretty loud. And I'm concerned because in Seattle, again, we had the problem there. Next place that we had was Detroit. That game, most of our games, unfortunately, this year have been lost with close games, and I know a lot of people don't care. A loss is a loss, but they've been close. The Detroit game wasn't close, and that was a place where it does get loud. It is a dome, and they just kept pouring on the points on us. I'm losing my thought about the other place that we played in recently that was a dome. Help me out.
Well, Atlanta to start out the season.
Yes, that's why you're my great co-host. In Atlanta, our first game of the season, a dome place, and that was also one of our larger losses of the season there, and that dome. So I'm concerned about that, the noise in the dome atmosphere. And then I have one other thing is actually that covers both of the things. So any things that you want to add that I didn't talk about?
Yeah, I think today we'll see Carolina's, improvements, if you will, on their ability to rectify their own problems, right, in regards to self-inflicted wounds. We're going to see today whether or not they have the capability to move forward and bounce back after, say, a false start or after an offside or any other, nitpicky penalty that just, irritates any coach, right? We're going to see that on full display today, and, hopefully that trend does not continue where we continue to just shoot ourselves in the foot, especially in an environment like New Orleans where it can get pretty loud and it can definitely be a factor in what Carolina tries to do here today. So we're going to see rather early on whether or not Carolina can, for one, handle the noise, and two, if they can't handle the noise, how do they respond? Do they respond by saying, hey, we can move forward and get away from those self-inflicted penalties? Or is it going to be one of those things where it just percolates over time and causes them to be in a bad situation?
All right. Nothing going on yet still, huh? I keep waiting for it. It's going to come when I'm not expecting. It's going to scare the heck out of me. Watch. But the inactives, that should be about to come out, right?
Yeah, I am on the hunt for it, and I will give you a shout here in a little bit when that is available for us.
And then let me know if there's any comments that have come through that we need to pay attention to. But let's go ahead and continue to move through some of the transactions that did take place. Yesterday, the teams can make elevations from the practice squad, and the Carolina Panthers did make a couple of elevations. Now, before I get into them, let's just acknowledge how hard it's been for this offensive line this year. Number one, Bryce has been, I think, 44 times sacked this season. It's somewhere where he's averaging about 3+ sacks per game. And he's getting hit, of course, even more than that. So offensive line and consistency, that's why I said, for me, I want us to continue to run the ball, continue to leverage how Chuba's starting to break out, because stop dropping that guy back with the madness that can take place with that happening. But with that, we've also had a crazy combination of not just offensive line changes, but our guards. We have had on the left side 6 different guards this season. On the right side, we have had 7 different guards. 6 different on the left, 7 different on the right. So it continues to be something where I'm like, man, let's just forget pass protection, where you may need a little bit more and sickness with the guy beside you. Just go to some run blocking where you just push the guy out the way and do what you need to do. So with that said, we had to make some transactions. We elevated Gabe Jackson from the practice squad. We had to elevate Gabe because we need some depth. We don't have all of our offensive linemen today, so Gabe Jackson was elevated from the practice squad. And then also defensive end Chris Wormley, he has been elevated. He's to help with the absence of Deshaun Williams, who's actually been out for his 2nd game in a row on the defensive side. So again, defensive end Chris Wormley has been elevated from the practice squad, and then guard Gabe Jackson has been elevated as well.
Yeah, with Gabe Jackson, he's somebody that they brought in from Seattle, a guy who is a veteran, 33 years old, pretty large human being, right? 6'5", close to 330. So it'll be interesting to see down the stretch whether or not they try to integrate him into what they do offensively speaking, because I do feel like there's some value there and some potential for stability there if they try to bring him in, because it's just been musical chairs. Everything about this team has been musical chairs, right, in recent years, but specifically with the guard position, I mean, it's just been quite the scene there, and the lack of stability in those 2 spots have really hurt this team, specifically in the pass game. And for Carolina to try to keep those numbers down in regards to get Bryce Young sacked, they're going to need to run the ball, and they're going to need to try to focus in on that here today, because we saw it last week, especially in the first half, Chris. They were able to do some things offensively when they ran the ball. Bryce Young didn't get sacked at all in the first half, but when they were in obvious passing situations, that's really when things started to change for this team in regards to Bryce Young getting hit and ultimately getting sacked 4 times in that game last week. So it'll be interesting to see how they see that play out here today.
Yeah, I'm trying to step to the side because Bryce is behind me, but I don't think he can fit into the screen because of the angle that I have the camera at. But he's warming up literally right behind me.
I see him. He's walking across.
Do you see him? He just threw the ball.
Yeah, he's right by. Oh, there we go. Yep. Yeah, he is back there, ladies and gentlemen. He is back there.
And then there's DJ Chark that's about to run by you as well. But let's go ahead and continue to work through some of these comments. All right. Bring my man Andre back on the screen here.
And again, yeah, oh, and here we go. We just have the inactives drop here for Carolina. I have it pulled up and ready to go whenever you feel free for me to have that ready.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you touch on one of these comments, and then I'm going to be getting that up. So I'm going to let you touch on this one from DCash. Seems like playing us now because we can't win, can't finish a game, and can't turn up. So, and people have been saying, like, if you need to get something right, play the Carolina Panthers. We're the get-right team. The secondary and the defense, for the New Orleans Saints haven't had much pressures lately. That's one of the things that team, the Saints, are wanting to do is like, hey, we've been Now, last week they had a good amount, but overall for the season, they haven't been able to get good pressure on a opposing team's quarterback. So I'll let you touch on that part for a second. I'll go ahead and get these inactives on.
Yeah, and I mean, you make it a very good point, Deke, Ash. I mean, we are the NFL's team when it comes to getting things right for the opponent, right? You know, we're 1-11, worst record in the NFL, and you know, you never want to look at the on-paper stuff, right? This is why you play the games, but you do have to think about it in the back of your mind, especially if you are a team that's facing the Panthers, where you're like, okay, you know, there may be more opportunities and enhanced opportunities for success going up against a team like Carolina. And I know New Orleans is definitely feeling that way today. While they shouldn't let their guard down, because this is a divisional opponent and divisional games are always close. Case in point last week with Tampa Bay, even though they're obviously the better team than we are, we still played them relatively close. New Orleans has a lot to play for today. You know, they're in the hunt for first place in the NFC South. They're in playoff contention just based off of the standings in our division. So they have a lot to prove here today. In Carolina, they want to be spoiler, but you know, it's hard to try to, you know, gather any motivation if you're on that sideline, especially when you know how things have gone this season and all the noise that is surrounding this team from all the off-field antics that have taken place as well. And I will say, as
hey, I'm gonna give you an extra second. I'm gonna see if I can get Mike K on here for a second. But so
okay,
hold tight for a second, and we'll see if Mike has a chance for two quick comments.
All right, and Charlotte Vibe exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the man of the people go. But to just, you know, get back to that point here, you know, Carolina is at that point where right now, that is their goal. Their goal is to play spoiler. And I think, but it's going to come down to how well do we see Bryce Young improve over these next 5 weeks, because there have been various articles that have been put out there, and the numbers back up what people are saying in regards to Bryce Young. He hasn't made that jump yet. He hasn't had that moment in time in this season where he has made the same thing that we saw at the beginning of the season, where, yeah, he's not surrounded by a legitimate team talent-wise, but a combination with that, he's also added fuel to that fire with his own mistakes, and that's going to happen as a rookie. And so I want to see here, as we kind of jump back and forth here, how he sees himself moving forward here over these next 5 weeks, and see what kind of noticeable improvements that we can get out of him starting today here in New Orleans.
All right, can you hear me? Am I good?
I can hear you loud and clear, my friend.
All right, so Mike K is not able to join us. It wasn't scheduled, so I didn't think that he would or would not. But let's go ahead and show these inactives. You ready? I just want to make sure, I'm not sure that everybody could hear you on that. Maybe they could, maybe they could not. So I'm going to let you try to read that one more time, and then they can see it on the screen. But I can't really tell with all this information on the screen if your audio is coming through. I kind of think it is, but nevertheless, we'll show it on the screen one more time. So here we go. Uh-oh. If I could get my production right.
Hey, that's why we make a good team, Chris. We know how to again, right off the bat, let me just point it out, Terrace Marshall Jr., 4th straight week that he has been on the inactive list as a healthy scratch. So again, it comes down to two things. The team not believing in Terrace Marshall Jr. and Terrace Marshall Jr. feeling like with this team not believing in him, should he really care at this point whether or not how his team views him, if they're just gonna, keep him out of the game like that for 4 consecutive weeks. So, I mean, it's again being put on display the declining relationship between Terrace Marshall Jr. and this Panthers team.
Yeah, it'd be hard to imagine that he's going to be here next year. Somebody had asked me early in the week, is Terrace just not wanting to play? And I don't know if they are kind of at a mutual point of that or not. I haven't had a chance to dig into sources to try to get any information about it. But I feel like at this point, he's an LSU guy, right? And we're in Louisiana, and they're his hometown. So he definitely, absolutely would have wanted to suit up in his hometown in front of some family and friends, and he's not going to have that opportunity today. But other guys, safety Jamie Robinson's a little bit of a surprise because he's been having some impact a lot on special teams, but he's inactive. And then Deshaun Williams, what we knew mostly about those other guys. So we'll continue to move along.
Yeah, and touching on Jamie Robinson too, he's had a pretty impactful rookie season. He hasn't had, that one big game as of yet that he has put together, but he's had pieces to build upon. So to see him not out there here today, and I don't know if he was on the injury report or not, Chris. You can be my second pair of eyes in regards to that. With Jamie Robinson, I don't know.
No, he wasn't on the injury report all week. He was not.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of a surprise to me because I do feel like, especially at this point in the season, you want to get your rookies out there as much as humanly possible to kind of gauge not only their future here with the team, but also just to see what they bring to the table as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to try to spend the rest of the show touching on some questions. So give me a moment as I try to get that together.
Yeah, to everybody who's been leaving those comments today, keep on leaving those comments. We appreciate all the love out there. Everybody who's tuning in here today, we appreciate it here at Charlotte Vibe. And for everybody who's been leaving those super chats as well, again, if you want to jump the line, leave a super chat here at Charlotte Vibe because, again, that's part of it. We're supported by all of you out there, and we do it for all of you. So keep on keeping on, everybody. As this continued family at Charlotte Vibe continues to grow as we try to reach 10,000 subscribers here by the end of the season.
Yeah, and you know what? I will do this. So I can't show you any live game content. That is a direct violation of NFL credentialing, and I love my credentials. But I will try to show you guys just a little bit of the practice or some things before we get off. That's why my head's on a swivel, because I'm looking to see where I will turn the camera when that happens. But let's go through a few comments here. Just release TMJ. So he got some more time on his contract, but it could be a possibility. Let's see. Josh says, I was wondering, who did TMJ piss off? Somebody's mad.
Somebody in that room does not like him. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's not a good situation. To say the least. I don't want to speculate too much because, again, there isn't a lot of substantial, credible sourcing in regards to that. But, it's not a solid situation for them.
Yeah, D-Cash says second game, no Shaquille Griffin. So that was a pickup from the Houston Texans. And it did seem like he was progressing pretty well and will be eligible to play this week, but he's not. So, we'll continue to see when he does become active for this team. But one thing I'm not worried about is I'm really not worried about this defensive side of the ball. Is Olave active today?
Let me go ahead and double check. I'll go ahead and verify that.
Check that. But on the defensive side, I'm not worried about because Evero has had this team ready to play no matter who's out there. I mean, there's been times pregame I'm like, man, I don't know how in the heck we're going to play whoever the opponent is, and we play solidly on defense. Their next man up mentality is superb. Ivero gives credit to a lot of his assistant coaches for that because they're the ones that get those players ready, the details of their position and knowing what they need to do for the game. Ivero can't do that because he's more so getting the entire game plan together. So he gives a lot of credit to those assistant coaches for that next man up mentality. It's really the offense that's going to continue to be the can they do it. Last week it was the shorts. They couldn't get the short conversions, and it was asked this week, would Andy Dalton be used to do that? And Thomas Brown's like, no, I like what we have. I like what we're trying to do. We just got to get better execution. You have that on Olave or the Inactives for the Saints?
Yeah, Chris Olave is active for New Orleans, but a receiver that gave us problems in the Week 2 matchup back in Charlotte was Rashid Shaheed. He's going to be inactive for the Saints today, so his presence is definitely going to be missed. Same thing with Taysom Hill as well, another guy who gave the Panthers defense some problems as well. So two guys that will not be out there for the Saints today, but Olave will be there for New Orleans.
All right, and I'm going to see if there's any more comments that we can get to before I get out of here.
Oh yeah, and another aspect of it too was Alvin Kamara. He's going to be here for New Orleans today. A guy that wasn't active in Week 2 because he was serving a suspension back at the beginning of the year. So it will definitely be interesting to see how things develop, how they use him today, especially with Carolina's defense being able to stop the run relatively well throughout the past couple of weeks. Alvin Kamara should be an X factor today if New Orleans wants to have some success against this Panthers defense that has held their own really throughout this entire season.
Then expect this to be a game. It's still an NFC South showdown, that's taking place today.
Yep.
And I touched on it earlier about the fact that the New Orleans Saints are playing for a playoff berth, and that's something that's going to make it challenging. Not that if they didn't have anything to play for, but I'm just saying it's like there's a lot to play for this Saints team. And throughout the week, Kamara was talking to the New Orleans media and talked about just how pissed off he is, and he knows that the outside noise, they haven't been giving fans down here in New Orleans anything to cheer about. It's time for them to stop talking about they need to play better and just do it. Just put a better result out there on the field. So I'm just letting you guys know that because this show, I like to get you ready for what's about to take place, right? So those are some of the things that you want to watch out for. But I got a question here from Mark Burks. He says, the opening series and throughout the first half, we saw a lot of motion and much more play action than in prior games. Albeit still not enough, will we see that deeper in the game today? So Thomas Brown spoke about that, and they did get away from it. It was quite noticeable that they were doing play action. Bryce was under center. They were able to do some things that got the ball moving. Now, he did say that they still were able to do some things once they went into the shotgun with some movement to give guys a chance to get open, but it was different, not as much. So I think that you could see some more of that this week. They, of course, wouldn't tip their hand about it, but you could see that. And also, speaking about the offense for the Carolina Panthers, Adam Thielen has disappeared.
He has.
That has given Jonathan Mingo a chance to improve, and he's been taking advantage of those opportunities. The last two games, Jonathan Mingo has had, I think it was about 60 a few games ago, and then just over 60 last week. It's not enough. It's great to see Mingo kind of filling that gap, but he's not filled the complete gap that Thielen had. Thielen was getting basically about 100 yards a game, and Mingo still hasn't had his first TD yet. So lots of things to continue to work out and unfold for this Carolina Panthers team. But we'll see if Thomas Brown does continue to, into the second half, improve on that play action and having Bryce under center. Appreciate the question, Mark.
Week's game, it was a good question. And you look at last week's game, they scored 18 points and multiple touchdowns in last week's game, which was something that hasn't happened up to that point. So, there were some stepping stones and some, you could say, improvements. I wouldn't go out on a limb and say complete improvements because there's still many issues on this Panthers offense. But I do expect them to be more consistent in their play calling today, especially in an environment like New Orleans where you kind of just need to go with what you got and go at it 100%. Because, if you make any sort of slight adjustments, those adjustments can turn into mistakes. And we've seen that way too many times in situations where they're in a dome setting. So I think Carolina just needs to roll with what they got, roll with what works, and go at it full speed.
Yeah. And have we gotten any pictures from Patrick yet? Probably not. He came in late this morning. Late in terms of he had a flight from Boston.
That he just landed at the airport like about 15-20 minutes before we came up on the air. So,
so he's probably still
be on the way to the stadium right now.
Aaron Patton
so
says,
I'll cut him some slack, Chris. I'll cut him some slack.
I support and love the Panthers, and that's why I got to be honest. We are just not a great squad. I pray we win today. I pray right along with you. But we got a long road ahead. And I think that's true. There's so many things. I was asked the other day about the Panthers drafting and what should they do. And I was like, man, I hadn't started to wrap my head around that. But certainly we'll have to have some more who are we going to draft, who could we draft coverage than we've ever had before, because it's important to get this team good. But, our offensive line needs a lot of work. As I mentioned earlier, 6 new guards throughout the season, 6 new left guards, 7 different right guards. Bryce Young being sacked 44 times, been hit an ungodly number more times. A wide receiver in Adam Thielen, who, great that he's doing as good as he was, but he's like a number 2 or 3 on any other team. He's our number 1. Guys can't get separation. I mean, on and on and on. So it's a lot to unpack and get this team in the right direction, but hopefully we can start to take some baby steps towards that. Shannon Taylor, I appreciate you. I watch every game, win or lose. So Andre and I will be live.
That's loyalty right there.
Loyalty that we need.
Loyalty right there. Yes, 100% on that one.
So continue to hit that like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. What other questions could we have before I get off of here? So let's see if I can find 1 or 2 more.
I think Todd Hall had a pretty good question.
Todd Hall?
Related to the draft there. Something about going with O-line or receiver first in the draft. I don't know if you see that comment there.
Is it near the bottom?
It should be, yeah.
Actually, I think I got a little search feature. I'll hit here. There we go. Look at that search feature working.
Look at that. Coming in clutch right there. Yeah, I guess I'll touch base on this because, part of it, too, comes down to who's going to be the decision makers at that point when we get to draft season. Because that's the other part of the equation. Like, is Fitterer going to be back next year? I doubt that he will. And they're going to clean house in that regard. But to directly answer your question, I think you have to solidify the offensive line first before anything else. Because, what was the issue with the previous era of players in Carolina when you look at Cam Newton and that group was the lack of offensive protection around him. That was an issue at the beginning of his career and towards the end of his career in his time here in Carolina. And when they took time to invest in that offensive line, it was too late. By then, he had so many injuries and so many issues staying healthy. So I think you have to prioritize that early and sooner rather than later, because if you don't, your number 1 investment in Bryce Young may not even be on the field because of the injuries that he could succumb to, a lack of a presence in the offensive line. So I feel like you have to address that first.
I'm going to make my reply short. I agree with Andre. O-line first, because if you got time, then even average receivers, you can find a way to get them the ball. If you don't have time, then you need a superstar like a Tyreek Hill. There's not many of those guys out there in the league to get on your team. You can get some good guys, but superstars like Tyreek Hill that are that fast, you don't get much. So get that line first, and then you can start to work and improve on the other areas. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Let me see if I can go ahead and give you guys a little view as we get ready to wrap up. I think I can stay plugged in, so I can still hear you, Andre. Yep.
Okay.
I can stay plugged in. And it's going to be hard to see much because of the thing around, but I'm going to have to put the mic down. So, let's see if I can hold the mic. All right, so we got Scott Fitterer over here. Let's see.
Okay.
There you have Scott
I see
Fitterer.
him.
And I believe Dan Morgan. This might be hard to see because I couldn't put this camera too high. Right there.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, I see him. Dan Morgan, assistant GM.
And then, sorry for the shakiness of the camera, but I don't have much else. I might could try to show you Jake. Man, that camera's going all over the place. Why didn't you tell me about that? You got Jake Delhomme out here as well. Luke Kuechly. I don't know if you can see those two guys walking right there. It's not going to focus on them. It's focusing on my equipment, but I tried. And then here you see all the fans. Here's what the crowd looks like so far in the Superdome. Again, I know it's shaky, but I'm not a camera guy. I'm a journalist. And let's see, there's Eddie Pinheiro out there. Anyway, let me tighten this thing back up and get ready to get back in front of the camera.
We had a game winner last year.
We did have a game winner. All right, so without further ado, let's see if I can. Oh, I didn't go full screen. Let me do this one more time, full screen. All right. Well, you didn't tell me I wasn't full screen. Let me try to be the man of the people one more time.
Man, I thought you knew. My bad.
I didn't know, man. I need you. All right, so now we're full screen. So we'll try this one more time.
It's a fluid situation.
All right, so but again, I can't raise this camera too high, but you got Fitterer and Morgan right over there. Some players, and you got some Saints out here that are warming up. And yeah, I can't show you guys much. I'm sorry. I'm trying to see what I can show you. Of course, as I'm trying to show you things, it's all gone. Well, I'll show you here. Here's Media Row that I've been working on right here.
Oh wow! I didn't even know there was that many people to the left of you over there.
Yeah, a ton of people here on Media Row. I'm at the end, and I'm sorry for the shakiness, but I'm just trying to have some fun here with you guys. And if I come down this way, you'll see we're behind the Panthers bench. And yeah, actually, you know, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to take this off here. I'm going to hold it up. All right, I'm done. Let me get back over here.
Everybody out there, hit the like button for Cam or for Chris's ability to be a photographer there with everything that's going on right there. But I hope everybody out there enjoyed that little perspective there of what Chris is seeing on the sidelines.
I tried.
That was pretty good, Chris. That was pretty good.
Hey, I bet you I could have this high school band go crazy. So I'll do that at the end. But hey, so for Andre Casseday, I'm Chris Jenkins. We sincerely appreciate your support. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to go up to the press box now and report on the game. Follow us on Twitter for all the game updates and Instagram as well for a lot of photos. So about 30 minutes after the game, you can expect to see us again live covering this Carolina Panther and New Orleans Saints matchup. And I'm hoping and praying that we're going to be talking about a victory here. So that's it. I'm going to sign off. Andre, you can stay on for a second, but I'm pretty sure this band will wave, these kids that are right behind me. And that's how we'll end the broadcast. Actually, I don't feel like, let's see if I can do that. Here we go.
Are they out there right now, the band?
Yeah, see the woman taking the selfie?
Oh yeah.
Selfie time. Watch this. I bet you all the kids wave. See all the kids?
Oh, hey, look at that.
They're part of the
realize
band.
How many of them there were over there.
Yeah, man. Oh, they're not waving. Y'all can wave, man. There you go. See? There you go. But that's it, man. I'm getting out of here.